How to use this new software called ArKaos GrandVJ.
Everybody, coming out to NAMM. Over the hump. Yeah, my name's Grant, also VJ Culture, and we're going to have some presentations on ArKaos GrandVJ. GrandVJ is a visual application that you can tie in with your music, play it solo via VJ, via DVJ, and I'm going to show you how we can do the MIDI mapping to the VMS2 American Audio. You can scrub, scratch, crossfade, do all sorts of effects, parameter controls on the videos. Also, I'm going to give a little bit of demo on how all that works. Right now I'm just kind of doing some scrubbing. I've got it in full screen mode. I'm going to show you the power of what is actually happening behind the scenes. Bring that to a stop.
Yeah, how do you
Scratch the videos, crossfade and dissolve between them. Basically what we're doing is we're using the VMS2 controller as a VJ controller for the software. So ArKaos can map any kind of controller, any kind of parameter in the VJ application, and allows us to scratch, scrub, create visual effects on top of whatever we're doing, pitch our video speeds, slow them down, speed them up. So it's a great application for doing your DJing, and this controller makes it easy. The software is, I'll show you the software. This is in full screen mode right now. And this is VJ application. So it's going to go out of full screen mode. So this is the interface with GrandVJ. GrandVJ has 8 channels of visual and audio that can be mixed. You can use 8 channels and 8 channels. So if you wanted to split those channels up and have 4 on the A side and 4 on the B side, you can truly have crossfading with audio that follows video. You can transition back and forth between audio and video, set it up 2x6, 1x7, all sorts of combinations of visual effects. And each one can have its own channel for levels of opacity. You can isolate that down to just one layer. I'm going to stop the video. Now you can see how I'm scrubbing, scratching that video. So what we have in the interface, which is incredibly customizable, we have these panels that you can move around and shift around inside the application. If you want to have this window, let's say, down in the bottom side, sharing it down here, you can move it around, have it sharing real estate in different places so you really can see everything that's happening in the software. And so let's start at the top. We have various mixing modes. Mixing modes means that you can create different compositions. You can turn off various layers, turn on layers. Let's bring up 2 channels. And I'm going to jump up to layer number 2. If I turn off the mixing mode, we just have the straight video. That's what it is. That's what you're seeing. And it's full on with all of its color. Or not, depending on how we're put this in. If you turn on a mixing mode, which is here on the top of analysis over, you can create various layers of paint modes or copy modes. Turn into negatives, create different masking shapes that lay and deposit on top of your other video. So I would often have that as a top layer with other kind of background video underneath. There are various mask modes, polarizations, all within the mixing panel. When we drop down to position, we can move this over so you can see a little bit more of the position levels. Position offers you the ability to move with the mouse. You can move your video clip around, or you can do it on the Y, X, and your Z is like your scale. So you can position those. If you want to stretch them, crunch them. You can do all sorts of shifting, rotations in every direction. And then you have the ability to restore it back to full screen. And you can even set that to a hotkey so that once you're done kind of manipulating, controlling it, just hit a button and bring it right back to zero. There's also lots of different levels of presets. You can set it to the top, bottom, right, left. You are working at 16:9 and you want to set it out to a 4:3 screen, vice versa. You have lower third. So there's a lot of presets to make things very simple. In our effects, I'm going to solo channel 2 so you can kind of get a better idea of what's happening. We're going to add some effects, and this is in the effects panel. There's a few ways that you can go to the effects. You can scroll over to the side, and you can look at your effects, and it gives you a preview in the window down at the bottom of what happens with an effect if you were to apply it to a cell or apply it to a layer. So I like that dot screen effect. I could drag it directly onto my layer like this, and now you see that the layer's turned on. There's all sorts of effects that have now popped up in this window. And if I wanted to assign those effects to some of the knobs on the VMS2, I could easily do that by turning on a mini map mode. Control-Alt-M. Everything turns green. And now everything's customizable and editable. So I want to be able to change some of these parameters. I'm going to do some quick little MIDI assignments and jump down here. And there we go. Turn this one down. So we can quickly make some little MIDI edits in the panel. And now when I'm changing these knobs, you get to start seeing that we have all sorts of parameter controls. And if you use your mouse, you can see where your percentages are. Move over, hover it. Alright, so if I wanted to change out and play with different effects to see where my composition is and how it's looking, I can tab quickly over and just use all sorts of different effects. Each effect, often not all of them, but a lot of these effects have various parameter controls. None is going to pop up in the effects window. The fisheye is just strictly fisheye. What you can adjust, change these, flip them around, put all sorts of different crazy effects in. Alright, so I'm going to just leave that blank for a minute. And I'm going to talk about the visual panel. So I'm going to slide this panel over, give us a little bit more window room. The visual panel has looping modes, so you can ping pong your video. So it's going to start playing once it gets to the very end. It starts playing reverse, back and forth. It plays once. It plays continuously. You have your speed gains, which I'm assigned to pitch on the VMS2. Stop it, speed it up, default speed. There's audio level controls. You can scratch by bringing down the stop. You can scratch these layers and do all sorts of controls in this visual window. We can also assign it so that whenever I trigger in the cells down below, if I wanted to automatically assign to whatever layer in my 8 layers, I can easily assign that right here in this window by just clicking on here and making an assignment. Say I want it to play in layer 2, I assign it to 2, and now this clip will always trigger in layer 2. Alright, I also want to show you some of the text capabilities. If you want to put up the band's name, the DJ's name, your own name, whatever it is, you can easily do that in this mode. I just triggered a DJ clip. It's now playing in layer number 4. So we bring up layer 4, it defaults to GrandVJ. I can put in things like VJ culture. Whoops, I did that spell. can bring in text files and it gives you this really nice keying capability that overlays. There's multiple layers and levels of flash files that come native with the GrandVJ application, and you can quickly drop in. I'm going to show you where some of those are. Over to your right-hand side, there's the sources. The sources give you all sorts of different sources. One of those is a live camera feed. So if you want to bring in a live camera, just highlight it, drag it onto a cell, and I'm going to trigger it from my keyboard. And right away you have this nice keying that comes up on top of it. And a live camera is treated just like a video, where you can do all sorts of controls to it. If you want to control coloring in that, you can control colors, you can assign effects to it, you can do all sorts of crazy effects. Turn down our layer of GrandVJ, and I can drop a visual effect right on top of, let's go with this one. So we can quickly just drop some kind of visual effect on there, and we're going to treat it just like we would any other video. So we can colorize, effects, anything, any kind of parameter control can be assigned to it. So I'm going to bring back another video, take my ugly mode off of this. There's a couple of different modes that we can show. One of those is that we just trigger a clip by either using the MIDI controller, the MS2, and just triggering a visual clip that starts playing the whole movie file. Or we can turn off the toggle, and the toggle is the same for audio. It's like a trigger. So let's say you're a drummer or a keyboard player, and you want a different visual effect for each hit of the snare, each hit of the drum pad. So what you would do is in this mode, up here at the very top where I have the mouse, it's a toggle latch. By using a latch feature, you can unlatch or latch. By latching it on, it lets the video play continuously. When you unlatch it, it's going to be more responsive, and it's only going to play while that key note or that MIDI note is being held down. So you can do that, and by just triggering it, so it's going to turn on and turn off. And where I like to use that is in a different mode, which is called synth mode. So if any of you are familiar with older GrandVJ or older ArKaos, ArKaos has been around for over a decade, and this may look a little bit more familiar to some of you, that you may have this layer. So now it's latched off and on, so when I let off the key, it stops playing, and I can do all sorts of fast triggers, hold down keys, and continue to have visual effects play underneath. You know, layers, and if these were drum pads or a trigger finger or some kind of other controller, you'd be getting a very fast response. And you can assign an audio note to that so that your audio and video are following each other. One of the new features in GrandVJ, I'm going to take you back to mixer mode, that has really expanded the whole capabilities of GrandVJ, and that's that it is natively supporting Quartz Composer files. Who here is familiar with Quartz? Okay, you are. Great. So Quartz Composer files are natively built into OS X, right? And you can take those files and bring them into ArKaos as either an effect or it can be like a QuickTime. And when you do that, you expand its capabilities by having the effects. You can build your own effects, build parameters for your effects. So whenever you have those as an effect, in GrandVJ is going to show up and it's going to have a QTZ at the end of the file extension, and it'll be treated either as a video or as an effect. So I'm going to trigger these layers. So you see that we have coming in on layer 3, those nice blue bars. That's treating a Quartz Composer effect just like a video file. If I want it to be something that's more like an effect, I can also do trigger effects, and those effects then treat your other videos below it, and it creates all sorts of parameter controls to those layers. So we have these lines, overlays, bring up the different videos here. and here's our visual effects. So that's wet, and there's dry. And these are just basic Quartz components. So GrandVJ has its own built-in effects. You can add your own effects and build out your system. Create new compositions. So the way I've laid this out, for me, it works native, very intuitive with the VM-S2. I've built it so that I have 3 layers of grids, so 3 rows, and A. So that represents all the buttons that are on the VM-S2, and I split it in half. So half of my media assignments are on this side, and they'll all be triggered on channel 2 or channel 4 of the VM-S2 controller. It allows me to do my scrubbing and scratching on channel 2. And also do crossfade layers on A. Turn this off. And down here in A, I've got that compressed, so I'm just going to do a quick little default setting. Brings it back up. There we go, and just a hotkey brings our video back up to its full screen position. Alright. So, some of the media files that GrandVJ plays all sorts of QuickTimes, all the codecs in the QuickTime family format, AVIs, Flash files, PNG files. So if you want to put a nice text layer, you can add a text layer that is PNG, like we'll do that right here. Now we've got layers like GrandVJ that come in as a nice clean key over top of all of your visual effects. Do that for video files as well that hold alpha. So what is alpha? Alpha allows you to remove the transparency of your layer, so it's just the elements of a video file that you use. Alright, so I showed you the front side of all this. Now let's take a look at the back end of GrandVJ. Bring up the preferences. In the preferences, there are some incredibly powerful tools. One of which is that you have multiple screen outputs. If you want to have 4 projectors, 4 plasma displays, you could create any combination, 1x3, 4x4, 2x2, and that's all done in the lower half of the application here. And you can do edge blending from projection with all of your soft edge curves and widths to really get a nice clean blend. Also, we have in our output, we have keystone correction, and I can't tell you how many times I've been up on a ladder trying to do keystone correction on a projector where I really wish I would have had it in front of me on my laptop. So you can easily use this on your output. You're not going to see it in your preview, but if we have this on our output, you can see that I'm doing all sorts of perspective shifting to get my layer, my video to line up nicely on the screen. And this is just built in right into the application. We have light and dark skin modes. Great if you were working in outdoor festival during the daytime. You have it in light mode, and you have a much better view of the screens. We have OSC. So OSC allows us to use iPhones, Android devices, iPads, all as a controller to control the parameters of GrandVJ. So there's 3 different mapping modes for GrandVJ. You can do that with a Control-Shift-M. Everything turns green, and now we're going to be mapping.